Hey Brittany, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
I really appreciate you jumping on this call.
Well, so we're copywriting first content agency, which
Uh-huh.
is like, all sounds very like marketing buzzwordy, but I think it's important because the nuance there is that everyone on our team started as a copywriter, and we really look at like the message first and the angle and all that.
Love to hear just a little bit, an example or two around a content marketing success, or perhaps something that you either participated in or you observed that you thought would work better than it did.
Okay, so I'll start with a failure, I guess, because I don't know why. I guess your mind always like goes to the negative first. I should probably work on that, therapist. But in the meantime, yeah, I think that obviously storytelling is big. Storytelling is big in copywriting. It's big in content. But when I was starting out as a freelance copywriter, I was breaking into the B2B space, and I was given a brief for a really technical B2B topic. It was like why MySQL is better than, like, I don't know, the other thing that's like competing with that kind of coding language or whatever. And I was just desperately trying to humanize this business topic. And so I compared it to like a trip to the dentist or something. Anyway, it just didn't gel. Like it was not coming together. So I think that that's kind of an interesting like lesson that I learned early on as a content marketer, copywriter turned content marketer, is that like when you are looking to identify, like give a little life to a topic, let's say, you need to always take the time to like find out what are the experiences that really connect with your reader, right? Because maybe if I had gone down the Reddit rabbit hole, I probably would have found a more relevant analogy. But these are tricks that you learn along the way. So I think on the flip side, definitely successes. Like we had a big success recently where we had a lot of traffic for one of our clients in the HR tech space, SaaS company, very competitive space. And we'd built up a lot of traffic through blog strategy over like the course of 2.5 years. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, like it was just, let's get as many leads as possible through the door, because we're having paid users downgrade to free, and like our revenue is at risk and all this. So we needed to really line up all the marketing chips behind like this new sales strategy. So we basically just went to see like, okay, what are our highest traffic articles? What can we optimize for conversion? And we pinpointed one that was on inclusive recruiting. We were able to offer that to them. We partnered up with an expert in the space and did a really well-structured like mini course that was delivered via the blog and email. And we brought in over 1,100 leads in less than 2 months. And it was way, way cheaper than anything they would have done through paid ads or anything like that. So
that's fantastic. So was that, it sounds like maybe that was repurposing something you knew was working well and really focusing. Is that right? It wasn't totally brand new. It was something they already had just sitting there, but then it got refocused and refined. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just felt like, in a way, free leads coming from the sky, because we had invested the time up front in organic. So we knew what was working, what was truly evergreen. And then from there, it was just a matter of like finding the right partner and structuring it in the right way. I mean, 95% of it was existing content.
Right. And did you have a different, so, I mean, it sounds like some of this content was already just freely available, online for people to find. That's where the organic traffic was coming from. Did those leads continue to come from organic traffic, or did you change the distribution strategy, or, how did you get that content in front of people?
Good question. Yeah, so it was a mix. So we did we had the organic as kind of like the baseline, and the thing that
Mhm.
didn't get a hit when the marketing budget took a hit.
Yeah.
So paid ads, of course, like our PPC took a big hit. But we did also co-marketing through this HR influencer, Stacey Gordon of
Got it.
Rework Work. So she had her audience, we had ours, and we just joined forces. So primarily organic, really. I mean,
Nice.
most of it was organic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Those are great stories. Thanks for sharing. That's
Yep.
really fun to hear, those real life examples. That's really great. I'm curious, as you've worked with a lot of different organizations, are there patterns that you see in the organizations that are most successful with content marketing? You know, are there organizational behaviors or mindsets, or what are some of the patterns that you see with the organizations that really feel like they have success with content marketing?
I love this question. I could go all day, but I'll try to keep it brief. So I think, so obviously my bias is organic, right? It's inbound, and
Yeah.
that's always, I think as a copywriting first agency owner, that's always going to be my bias, is like, and so for me, the ways that I define success is people or brands who use content as a way to increase their brand equity over time, so that regardless of your sales strategy of the day, or regardless of your marketing strategy of the day, or your paid ads budget of the day, like you're going to have evergreen content and a brand, like a real brand that people know and can refer to other people, and they know exactly how to do that and what words to use to
Yeah.
spread that message. I think that the SaaS brands, right? If we're talking about digital marketing and just what's the main type of marketing today, essentially,
Mhm.
I think the SaaS brands that have that point of view are always going to do better over the long term, because instead of trying to go for those quick wins where it's like with PPC, or you're putting an ad out there and it's like a meal that you eat on the spot,
Right.
like they're
Right.
investing in like recipes and like their own unique secret sauce or whatever, like that's their thing that's always going to be theirs. So yeah, I think we work primarily with SaaS companies and B2B niches, and I think the ones that know, okay, I know my differentiators. I understand that content is a long game. Yes, I want traffic. Yes, I want leads. But first and foremost, I want those traffic and leads to be qualified through the lens of my message and like what makes our product different.
Mhm. What are some of the pitfalls or challenges you see that organizations commonly fall into?
I think just short-term thinking, and it's natural. I think I also think that marketing's reputation doesn't really help us, like we are people who can talk a big talk, and walking the walk sometimes isn't always as easy as we'd
Mhm.
like it to be in a data-driven world. But I do think that, yeah, if you can kind of overcome that and trust in the process, and if the quality of the content you're seeing is good enough to engender that kind of trust, I guess. Like
Yeah.
you see it and you feel that it's good and you believe, and it's easier to believe that it will work over time. But yeah, I think that's the main thing, because when you're thinking really short term, for example, if you're looking at conversions before you're looking at traffic, and kind of if SEO is your main distribution channel, let's say, then you're putting the kind of the cart before the horse, if you will. So you'll be constantly switching strategies and tactics, and you'll just
Yeah.
be bouncing back and forth, rather than it's like anything in life, right? Like just focused
Yeah.
consistency gets you there.
Has your approach to marketing content, or has the way that you've engaged with clients, have you seen that change during the COVID time, and how has that changed?
Change since COVID, I just don't even know where to begin. Yeah, so I think in the beginning, what was interesting for me was figuring out how to develop assets that were evergreen, and still acknowledged the current
Huh?
context of
Yeah.
business, right, in light of COVID. That was tricky. Like, how much do you mention it? How much did you create assets specific to COVID? And we did a lot of sort of this crisis response
Yeah.
content. And we joke all the time with my clients, like pivot, pivot, like pivot
Right.
has become like that's like the hashtag word of
Yeah.
2020. But I think in the long term for me, it's put like sort of at the strategic level, it's put more of a focus on content hygiene over time. So I think it really highlighted how fast things are changing and how important it is to not just focus on generating new content and tracking that new content, but also looking back to see out of what we've created, what's doing well, what's not doing well, why, what needs a facelift, what's just completely no longer relevant. Because you really don't, that's the great thing about inbound is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Just treat, just like, you know, water the grass where it is with your existing assets, and you keep it evergreen. So I think that's my main takeaway for COVID.
When you're thinking about that refresh, what do you find are the easiest levers? Is it revisiting the keyword strategy? Is it just simply updating titles and graphics? Is it re-promoting it in different distribution channels? What's kind of your playbook, or what are some of the things that you think about when you're thinking about going back and reviewing that content that may not be performing as well as it was?
I think that's a really great question. And it's funny because I was actually on a call with a client yesterday, and we've been doing content with them since 2017. And even though we've only been doing 3 to 4 pieces a month, we have such a rich library of content, and it's difficult to decide what those levers should be for each piece. So, and I mean, we're a boutique agency, so we're still kind of bespoke in our approach. We don't really like an over systemized process with content. So I think you do have to take a minute to look at each piece individually. So for example, if you have a piece that is doing 1,000 users per month, but the conversion rate is nearly 2%, then maybe you want to optimize that piece with really topical CTAs, or even a video CTA using a Wistia clip from, you know, an interview with one of your clients or whatever. I think, but then, you know, then on the flip side, if you've got something that's very top of funnel and it's bringing in like 50,000 visitors, right? But it's so top of funnel that like asking them to sign up is just a waste of time. Right? So it's a bit of a balancing act, but I think those are the general levers you want to look at. You want to go beyond the, hey, let's just change this H1 from 2020 to 2021 to actually like, okay, what are we doing? What can we be doing better? And really giving each piece the time. You're better off doing that than creating, you know, whatever, 5 new pieces a month just to say you did.
Thank you, Brittany. This has been awesome.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to talk shop with someone, especially when you work remote, right? And you're like talking to your dog all the time.
Exactly.